The show you're about to listen to is pulled from our Nerd Radio, our national NerdNet Radio Direct, streamed every Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Please enjoy. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to ZOMBcast.
Oh, yeah.
Your podcast about zombs.
The zombs. The zomsters. Yambies.
So far, we've had a pretty good trip with you guys. We're trying to always mix it up with you. You know, we did some movies, then video games. We did a TV show here. And now we're back to video games. And more importantly, we're back to, or we're going to be talking about Call of Duty Zombies. This is a phenomenon that has been going on since Call of Duty World at War, and it's turned into something way, way bigger than I think even they anticipated. Because it was literally like just this little Easter egg. You know, I don't even know unless it was as popular as it became. I don't even know if they would have put new maps in the DLCs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's actually valid.
So now here we are, 5 games, right? So we got World of War, Black Ops, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, sure enough, here we are at Black Ops Cold War. We have the newest iterations, which was kind of the, I guess, inspiration of doing this episode now rather than down the road. We'll probably do another update version when we have like the DLC in the most current Cold of War.
It's a Cold of War. War of coldness.
But yeah. So we'll probably do an update. It might not take up the entire episode, but we'll definitely do an update later when we get our full hands on everything else that the Cold War Zombies has to offer. So first off, let's get acquainted with the Call of Duty Zombies. What was your first experience with the Call of Duty Zombies?
Well, I mean, I'm going to have to precurse my whole thing about it in the fact that I was never a fan of zombies. Like, to me, the game mode was not important. I didn't really play it. And I think it's because at the time I didn't really get the idea behind running around wave after wave, just killing zombies. Like, to me, I got bored with it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I didn't like the way the weapon progression was. I was just like a multiplayer guy, and I was probably playing something else stupid like Star Wars or some shit. But zombies at that time was not something super big. But the very first one that I think that it was that I ever played was World at War, Knock Der Undertoten. I did play the very first Zombies when it released. I got to play that. I just didn't adhere to it as often. And I want to say that I played each one, except for a few. I think there was a few versions of Zombies that I never touched, but I mean, for the most part, that was it for me. I didn't, it wasn't the graphics or anything that turned me off on it. It was just, up and down the stairs, avoid the dogs, lock the windows. It was just not, it just didn't grab me. And at the time, I don't remember there being any Easter eggs in it. So
yeah, definitely.
I didn't know to look around, and I don't think there was any in the beginning. When they started adding the little Easter eggs and like rituals and shit like that, that's more of when it started getting my attention. And even still, it wasn't like, oh, this is great, I'm going to keep playing this. It wasn't. There was no, push on that.
Yeah.
So if you want to talk about merely my first impression of zombies, it wasn't that great. Not that it didn't adhere to what my belief on a zombie is, because I mean that's what overall this goes off of, if whether or not the product meets our standard of zombies. It did. It definitely met my standard. I mean, except for the fact that you don't get eaten. Well, I mean, you get killed. It's more of an aggressive thing, but once you're down, they don't try to eat you. But they do try to infect you. So there's that. So that was kind of my first impression.
I'd have to say
sorry. Go ahead. No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had nothing. It was nothing of importance.
Okay. So my first one was actually Kiner der Toten. So I actually didn't get onto the zombie bandwagon until the sequel technically.
Sure, sure.
Um,
On the
and
blocks.
yeah, and with that one we at least got Kiner der Toten and 5 with the you know with the launch. It wasn't like I had to buy DLC for it. And yeah, I was kind of the same where like I really liked it for sure, and it was addicting, and it was one of those things where it was addicting, and I didn't know why it was addicting because it's like you're right, like all you do is just round after round after round after
Yep.
round, and it's like you try to get further, but it's like for me in particular, especially down in the Kiener der Toten, like I think like I would always get to like 13, and I think once in a blue moon I'd get to 20. Oh my god! But I think if I got to 20, it was because it's like all the random mystery boxes just happened to line up correctly.
In the right spot. Were you doing it solo or were you doing it with people?
Solo.
Ooh, that made it even more difficult.
Yeah. More difficult, but also sometimes easier because like me and you the other night, it's like sometimes if we're trying to train zombies, if we cross each other's path, then zombies can just decide I'm gonna go over here instead. So especially if
Yeah.
there's like 30 zombies and we're all trying to make them do whatever we want, sometimes it could just be difficult to do it. So sometimes it's harder by yourself, but then sometimes it's actually easier. So it really depends. So after Kinnear der Toten and 5, I really got a shining to it. I'm like, okay, I want to try this out. I mean, by then, World at War was like dirt ass cheap, so it's like, sure, yeah, let me
Yeah.
see where it started. And so that's when I first experienced Nacht der Toten,
Mm.
and I think I liked it maybe a little bit more just because it was like really simple and like the mystery box it didn't move, so like it was pretty basic. And I think at the time I didn't want to spend any money on the DLC. But then the Resurrection DLC came out. And with the
Yeah.
Resurrection DLC, you got all of the zombie maps. So I was like,
Yep.
well, there you go. That's a no brainer right there. So, no brainer. I didn't even do that on purpose. Anyways, so I
I
got
think you
that.
did.
I got that. And so I was able to get all of the zombie maps or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there you go. Then that's when I was able to try out Verduct, Shino Numa, and Dare Rise. And so then I think that solidified, like, okay, I'm officially a fan. You know what I mean? I'm officially like, okay, I'm definitely going to play this on a more regular basis. And I mean, especially back in the Black Ops days, I never really liked their multiplayer like a ton. I liked it for sure, but it was just like I actually played it way more for the zombies itself. And
Yeah, that's back in the day. I typically I would find you on zombies and I would be over there on multiplayer doing hardcore.
mm-hmm.
That was kind of where we were at. I think it was like what Black Ops 2 when we were doing that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is when it most was. But I get that how you became a fan of that because of, and you did. I would say that was where, God, every time we came over, dude, every time we came over, you guys want to play some zombies? Like that was your drive, and that
Yeah,
was your
for
that
sure.
was your that was your shooter niche, and I think that has developed so much more expansive now than what it. I'm getting retarded. I don't know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is like I think that has increased your ability to. I mean, honestly, be able to wreck face solo because if I go in solo, I can't nearly do half of that. I don't know what you mean. Like, how do you train zombies when you're solo? So what I was trying to basically what I was trying to say is like you going in and playing that all that time over playing the multiplayer has made it to where you can make it multiple rounds. How many rounds have you made it by yourself? What's your maximum amount of levels?
So just as an example for today, just today, I did a little challenge. So I have an app on my phone where I can make it spin a wheel. So I did a challenge, and it landed on starting area only. So I did the starting area only, and I equipped a shotgun for the starter.
Okay.
And I made it all the way to 14 with just my shotgun in the starting area. So if you know the new map, there is no gun in that starting area. So I had to be with the shotgun the whole time. Now, granted, I was able to get scavenging, and so I was able to like craft like C4 and some like monkeys.
Helpful additionals.
So so those definitely helped or whatever. Honestly, it was the freaking hazard guy. The hazard guy came around, and that's what killed it for me. Now, as far as highest ever
by yourself,
by myself, 55, or no, I guess it would technically be 54 because I didn't make it all the way to 55, but 54 on Blood of the Dead.
Wow, Blood of the Dead was good. Yeah. I liked Blood of the Dead. I'd have to say that was one of my favorite maps.
And honestly, I wonder how much further I could have gone, but by the time getting to 55, I had been playing for 2.5 hours. So my will to live was very less at that point. So it's like, how much further could I have gone if I had that drive to just keep going?
And that's what I was basically trying to say is like, because you spent so much time in the early days of Call of Duty, like Black Ops 1 and World at War and stuff like that, you focused predominantly on the zombie aspect. It has expanded your ability to play the survival by yourself. If I were to do survival in the starting area alone with just a shotgun, I doubt I would make 14. I highly, highly doubt I would break 8. I think I would make it to the first hazmat and then die immediately.
That's the good thing. Since you don't do the pack-a-punch, he didn't show up until 15. If he wouldn't have been there, I would have made it further.
So if you get the pack-a-punch, he comes in earlier.
Yeah, it triggers him coming in. So if you don't trigger him coming in, he didn't come in until 15. Now, granted, I don't know if that was random, and maybe sometimes he comes in at 12, sometimes he comes in at 13. But that particular time, it was round 15. And like I said, I would have been fine if it wasn't. So then let's get into our personal favorite game/version. Because obviously, if we went through all the maps, whatever, we'll talk about like the maps and everything. But if just the collection of maps on there, what would you say is your favorite game/version of Call of Duty? Because there's always changes and stuff, right? So what do you think?
Well, I think sadly, because of again, you're going to have way more in-depth of a field on this. And versions alone. So I guess does that include
pause? What's up? What's up? Well, yeah, because I'm doing something silly. Go back to bed. I love you. Honey, close it. Otherwise, I'm going to keep you up.
Stay paused, by the way, when you come back. Stay paused.
Say pause? Why?
Stay paused because I have a question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So are you also talking about like version as far as like Dead Ops Arcade and like stuff like that? Because as far as like my favorite zombies to date, it's the one that we're playing now.
Oh, okay.
Do you mean like Onslaught?
No, what I mean is like game. So like each game they add in new stuff. So that's what I mean is that like, you know, which one's your favorite game? Because each game adds in something new, whether it be the gobblegum or, you know, things like that. So yeah, that's what I mean. Just which game has the overall best zombie maps in your opinion?
Well, we don't
collection.
Really know
so Dead Ops could be part of that collection. You know what I mean?
Okay, I get where we're going. Okay, we can unpause.
Okay, unpause.
I mean, I hate to say it because like I don't have as big of an expansive, you know, knowledge on all of the different maps and game modes over every zombies that it's been out over time.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely say that Black Ops Cold War with the combination of Dead Ops Arcade, which I know was an older game mode that came in from an older one. Mm-hmm. I played it back then, and I also liked Dead Ops Arcade then, but I liked the little changes they've done to it. But I would say Cold War is my favorite so far, mostly because there's different ways to pack a punch. There's different ways to add, you know, additives to your guns. The fact that the knives last so much longer now. Mm-hmm. Just all the little things that have been throughout Zombies over time seem to all be collaged in this one Call of Duty, and I'm really finding myself playing it and enjoying it. I get on it even when you're not on now. Name a time when I would ever play Zombies without you being there.
Yeah, no crap.
Never. I get on it without you now. Now I don't play it by myself. I usually join a bunch of randoms and we make it to like 30, but that's it.
Nice.
And they don't nearly play it as efficient as you do.
Oh, stop it.
I mean, honestly, playing with like people like them, like I die so much and have to get revived from like basically round 8 and up. You and I can make it to round 20, and I think I go down maybe once,
twice,
and that's like twice,
3 times the latest. Sorry, yeah, no, maybe once or twice, just depending on the situation. Whether we're getting distracted by the blue orbs or
or if we're like, but it's never because of a stupid mistake or because of like when it comes to training zombies, like you taught me how to train zombies. You taught me how basically everything that I do in zombies is because it's something that you have showed me how to do it.
Right.
And
I learned
by
it from watching you.
You taught me, Daddy. So by that measure, I actually tend to do better when I play with you than when I do with a group of random 3 people. Whether I'm party chatting with them or not, I'll tell you what, honestly, people just aren't that efficient. They don't, like, they start going all sporadic and doing everything, and then, like, they get trapped up in a room somehow. I mean, I've played easily 9 games with other groups, and we've tried to X-File every time and never passed it. Yeah. I did it with you once, and we cleared it.
Boom.
So I'm just saying.
So the most recent one, that's your favorite so far?
So far, just because I feel that I'm like really getting behind it. It's either that or I'm just getting older and I'm finding myself liking that style, and maybe I should go back and try them again. On that topic, I can say this. It was maybe like 4, 6, 8 months ago, something like that. No more than 8 months ago. A friend of mine asked me to download World War II because we got it for free in the PlayStation Plus, which is great. How often does that happen? Yeah. Never. So I downloaded it and I started playing zombies with her. We made it to round 40.
Nice.
So
very nice. How much?
So, right. So, and we only played maybe like 6 different games together, but we were doing well. So if I can say, I very much think that this is my favorite, but I'd have to say I did like playing World War II Zombies. I don't know what it was. Runner-up? No, I think Black Ops 4 with the gumballs.
Yeah.
Or was it 3 with the gumballs?
Well, they both have gumballs, but with 4, it was attached to your up, down, left, right.
It was attached to your up, down, left, right, and 4 was the one where you were in that creepy, like, I called it a Jack Skellington town, like a Nightmare Before Christmas town, because it wasn't, but it was just a weird shaped town. Like, there were weird, I don't know, it just looked different with all their iron rod gates and like trams.
Oh, so you're talking about Blood of the Dead, the prison?
Is it a prison? No, I don't think it was a prison. You were in like, it was like a town, but there were like trams and stuff you could take.
Oh, no, that was definitely 3 because that's the one where you could take the train.
Maybe I think it was the one with the train.
Okay.
But there was like iron rod gates everywhere.
Yeah,
like
right.
That was your border. So it was either 3 or 4. But either way, I want to say like that might have been my runner-up. It's basically a tie between that one and World War II for second place.
Okay.
But hands down, I'm loving Cold War because they've just tweaked all the things that I didn't like just right to where I'm like, I can do that now.
Yeah.
So
I'd actually say Cold War is probably my runner-up. Just because me personally, I've never been a hardcore zombie, like, I mean, hardcore maybe in comparison to you, but I've never been like hardcore, ooh, I have to do all the Easter eggs. Like, if you
Right.
talk to the zombie community, a lot of them hated 4. And most of the complaints had to do with the Easter eggs and how maybe the
Okay.
Easter eggs weren't fulfilling, maybe the story wasn't fulfilling, on and on and on, right? Me,
Okay.
I love playing the game, but I'm not so far into it where like I'm looking at the metadata and I'm looking at like the Easter eggs and oh no, this part of the Easter eggs bugged out, so now I can't do anything. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Gotcha.
pay enough attention to it where that seems to be the main complaint of Black Ops 4. Mainly for me, what I loved about Black Ops 4 is just how powerful you felt. You felt absolutely powerful. So that was the Black Ops Zombies where you could have 4 gobblegums and they were attached to up, down, left, right. I like the gobblegums from 3, but the problem with 3 was that you went up to a gobblegum machine, you spent 500 points on it, and then you were given a random one. Now, granted, that random one could be out of, let's say, 8 or something, but even still, having that more immediate control of, do I want to press up, down, left, right? I got less of them, technically, but I got control over them. I could use them, and then obviously there was a cooldown, but I could use them as much times as I want, as long as the cooldown was over. Now, granted, they did the same thing where you could have, blue, purple, and legendary ones, and those ones were there was a quantity to them. You had to basically get them from a loot box, basically.
Okay.
But even still, like the immediacy of it and the control of it was awesome. And then on top of that, you add in the ultimate weapons, which essentially, like if you've ever played like Destiny, for instance, it's essentially like your ultimate from Destiny, where you pull out this weapon and you use it. And just all of the weapons were really good. There were 2 storylines, the Ether and the Chaos. The Chaos had like the Staff of Ra. It had like this boomerang blade and a giant ass like hammer, almost like a Thor hammer.
Yep.
And then it had the gun and like the blade whip or whatever. And then the ethereal one had the minigun, had the sword, Takio's sword. It had a flamethrower, and it had the big like ground pound spikes or whatever. Depending on if I was playing solo or playing with somebody, the minigun was my favorite because when you leveled it all the way up, you could throw it out as a tactical nuke, and so you basically had a power up drop whenever you wanted, or as long as it, obviously because it had a power meter. Now, if I played with somebody, I'd do the ground pound, because with the ground pound, you could do this giant like force field. And if the zombies got inside the force field, they would slow down. But more importantly, if you did it around somebody who was downed, it would automatically revive them. So that and the Staff of the Raw kind of had the same thing where it was an area of effect, and if you were inside it, you would revive one of your buddies or whatever.
That's kind of cool.
So that for me was way more co-op focused, so that's where I would use it or whatever. But if I was by myself, minigun all the way. Because it felt so powerful. And I think it's that power and that badassery is one of the only things that I miss about Black Ops 4 Zombies. Otherwise, I would agree with you as far as Cold War being the top one. So Cold War is like neck and neck with it, but it's because of that absolute, God mode that you have. You just press L1, R1, and you pull out this weapon, and you just wreck house. And so with that, now a lot of people from the zombie community would say, well, yeah, that was the easy mode button or whatever. But it's like it made you feel like a badass. And I love that about it.
What kind of comment is that?
Yeah.
It's the easy mode button. It's okay. Dude, in that case, the Wonder Gun that you and I pick up in round fucking 8 on the new ones.
Right.
The easy mode gun, because that's what it does. I don't agree with that statement. I think that things are added for a reason. I feel that I honestly have always felt that the balancing seemed right as far as like zombie strength to person strength. I wasn't ever a major fan of it, and I like it better now because I feel that they tweaked it a little bit more, but it was never like that was my main complaint. That was never my complaint.
Yeah.
Now how they do it where you can rock a knife till round fucking 13, like
right.
I'm actually okay with that. I'm okay with that because if you get attacked with like 2 or 3 zombies while you're trying to knife them, you're still going to go down. Yes, your knife's doing more damage, but you're still going down. So they gave you more knife power, but they also made the zombies a little bit stronger.
Yeah, definitely.
And they did it in the right level. So I mean, that's why I'm falling so much in love with this one. It's because it's like it's actually fun for me to play. I feel right with it.
Yeah, I think
I like the colors too. I'm really digging the colors.
Oh yeah, the tier system. Yeah. I think the number one reason why Zombies is so addicting for me this time around, it was always addicting, but now it's even more addicting. And that is because if you've been following us for a while, this might be a broken record, but the main reason I love it is because of the progression. I can play the game. I can level up every single gun in my arsenal just by playing Zombies.
Yep.
You know? And that feeling of progression is really good. Because, like, let's say, for instance, we only get to round 13 every single time. Back in the day of Noctero and Toten, if I got to 13 every single time, it was frustrating. Because it's like, I'm trying my hardest, it doesn't matter because I died. And then even the more I go on, I could get to round 20, I could get to round 30, but it's like I just hated the feeling of dying because it was basically like, okay, there's an hour and a half, 2 hours out of my life that I'm never going to get back. And what was it for? It was for nothing. And I think that's another reason I liked Black Ops 4 as well, is because that's when they first really started giving you some progression. Really, like, you had to unlock certain things. Not only that, but more you used weapons, you could start adding on attachments. So now that wall gun that would normally just be a regular wall gun, well, now it has a extended mag, it has a laser pointer, it has all this stuff. And that was super addicting when they started giving me a sense of progression rather than just, hey, you've made it to round 20 again. Wee! Like, now, no matter how far I get, I could get to 5 because maybe I just messed up so bad I only got to round 5.
Yeah.
But I have the experience, the quite literal XP that goes into that gun that I was using that levels that gun up, and it makes it completely worth it. Yep. Completely. I don't have that feeling of defeat anymore. Because instead, I have when I get out of it, it has this little pop up like these are the things that you unlocked because of what you were doing. That feeling, you can't get enough of it because, and the fact that now I can take that same shotgun, that same assault weapon, whatever it might be, and I take all the attachments that I've unlocked through my achievements and bring them into multiplayer. Yes, please.
Yep. Well, and the fact that I can gold in multiplayer. And so, okay, so I'll say this. I have found that leveling up my guns is easier so far on Zombies than it has been on multiplayer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just because, like, the XP per minute, the XPPM.
Yep.
XPPM is higher in Zombies, even though you only get, like, for instance, you only get 15 experience for every zombie that you kill. Or no, it's 14. 14 experience every zombie you kill. You get more experience if you kill an actual person. I want to say it's either 50, 75, something like that. You get 50 experience. So you get like 4 times as much, but you're killing 6 times as much zombies. So it's like it evens out, really.
Yep.
So not only that, but then it's like every round you get 200 experience. So yeah, it's so much preferable, and it's just like that's I'll be a broken record if I don't stop myself. But that feeling of progression is just
it feels good. Yeah, it feels good.
So, personal favorite map. What would you say is your personal favorite map of all time?
I guess honestly, Cold War.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. The color scheme.
Mm.
I've been on the map in other games. Well, part of that map on other games. I don't think is that whole thing in the other games, or is it just the top that's in the other games?
Well, the knockdown tone, basically the downstairs, so it's the first door you go on, the bunny door. That and the upstairs right above it is the only thing in the original game. Oh, and then the room off to the left or whatever. So.
Yeah. So I guess So for me, I want to say that that's my favorite so far, just because I find it to be easier to navigate. Mm-hmm. I don't get lost. I don't get as lost as easy.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, just like I said a little bit ago, I very much was a fan of. It was 4 because Alex played it with me.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it had to have been 4. It wouldn't have been 3. Could have been 3, but I'm almost certain it was 4. I very much liked the look and feel of 4, but I got lost a lot. And Call of Duty Zombies I thought was fine too. I didn't have any issue there. But so far, I just like Cold War.
Yeah. I'd say my favorite of all time is actually Dust. Let me make sure I got the name right.
I did play Nuketown Zombies. I did like Nuketown Zombies. The only problem with Nuketown Zombies is you could get overwhelmed fast.
True. Very true.
But I did like that just because fanboy loved Nuketown. So.
Right. Buried. I called it Dust. It's actually called Buried. So that's the one where it was like the cowboy map under the ground. You remember that one?
Oh, you know what? I forgot about that. That's one. The one. I did like that one. Had the church down there.
Yeah, had the church, and then you had to go through and the ghosts or whatever. Oh, that was creepy as fuck.
Yeah, that one was good.
But yeah, I think the reason I like that one the most is just how much there was to do. You know, this is definitely the part of Zombies when they really just were throwing everything at it, and to some zombie people that was too much or whatever. Like, you know, I get it, I totally get it, but at the same time, I really like it. If I had to have a runner-up, it would be Mob of the Dead, because, you know, getting in that prison and then getting all the parts to the plane together and building the plane and then flying the plane over, and that's where you got the Pack-a-Punch. That whole thing, I loved and I fell in love. I would say, other than the current Cold War that we're playing right now, I'd say Mob of the Dead, and then its you know, sister Blood of the Dead are the maps that I've probably played. Like, those maps I could go through with like my eyes closed.
Well, okay.
So that would definitely be a runner-up. But Buried, like, I love the aesthetic of it. I love the way the zombies look. I loved Leroy. I think his name is something else, but he's Leroy to me. You give him candy, and then he runs into something for you, so he opens it up or whatever. Or you get him booze. Oh, no, if you give him candy... Wait, if you gave him booze, he ran into something. If you gave him candy... he could do something special. So, like, for instance, if you gave him candy right in front of the mystery box, he would hit the mystery box, and that would make it so it would never move. And if you gave him candy in front of certain things, he would do something special. And, like, the mystery box is the best example, but I can't think of off the top of my head other things. So that, and then you had like the buildables, like there was this saw blade that would just go shink and like cut zombies in half, but you could place it wherever you wanted. So you could place it high enough to cut their heads off. And then I think there was the scavenger where every zombie you killed had a chance of dropping either a little bit of points or a little bit of ammo. So that made survivability way higher. I think before Blood of the Dead, when I got to like 52, I think that was the highest I've ever gotten, was on that particular map. Because what we did is that, like, me and Ashley got onto it. So we got the saw blades and put them strategically at certain doorways. Okay. And then behind those, we put the, like the catapults or whatever, because it would catapult zombies as well. Right. So we'd put the saw blades first, then have the catapults, and then us, basically. So we'd still be shooting at the zombies because the buildables have durability. So if they get used too much, they'll get broken. So we'd still be shooting at them. But if they would ever get too close to us, like when we reloaded and they would get too close, they would get hit by the saw blade. If they somehow made it past the saw blade by the time we're reloading, they would get hit by the catapult. And so she was set upstairs in the church. I was set downstairs right before the stairs to go upstairs, and so they could literally only come straight at me. So just headshot. I'm sitting at like when we finally died, I was sitting at like 1,000 headshots because they would just line up in front of me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why it's my favorite, just because like the memories of playing that particular map, like that is a great. So yeah. Now let's talk a little bit about. We'll kind of just go through each one. So we got Call of Duty World at War, the very first one. You got this basically by beating the game, and you got this little secret, Nazi zombie
tidbit.
So we have Knockdown Toten. Mm-hmm. It was literally 2 rooms on the bottom and 1 room up top. The mystery box was the only thing they really introduced. We had no perks. We had no anything. It was the most simplistic map because it was the very first one. Yeah. Verrucht was the next one. That one was the one that was at the insane asylum. This one did introduce perks. I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, please feel free and, correct me in the comments down below nicely. I believe the very first perk, or one of the very first perks we got, was Juggernaut. So kept us alive longer, basically. And then there was Shino Numa. Now that one, I believe, is when we had all 4 perks. We got the Quick Revive, Juggernaut, Speed Cola, and Stamina. So, because I remember that it split off into 4 different directions you could go, and at the end of each direction was one of the perk machines. And then Dare Rise, once again, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dare Rise, I believe, is one of the very first Easter eggs that they tried. So Dare Rise was the birth of the Easter egg, essentially. So that's World at War. Now we have Call of Duty Black Ops. Kiener der Toten, which actually stands for Theater of the Dead. That it was set in like this theater, obviously. That one was Theater. That one was really fun because, like, especially if you could get into like the theater area and like use the teleporter. If you're feeling overwhelmed, run to the teleporter and then teleport or something. It was kind of cool. I liked it. 5, that one was interesting because it was like Richard Nixon, JFK, and I always forget the other 2. Yeah, I always forget the other 2. But
wasn't it Castro?
Oh, it was. Yeah, one of them was Castro. So
yeah, it was Castro, JFK, Nixon, and
Can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Yeah. Oh, well. How about you Google it while I go through the rest of the Black Ops maps, okay?
What's that? Oh, sorry.
All right. So then the next one, this is actually when we got Dead Ops Arcade. That was nice because it was just kind of a BS, fun mode. So if you ever just felt like goofing around, that was good. Ascension, that's the one with the rocket, I believe. That one was fun. I don't know. That one, to me, was a complete throwaway one, in my opinion. Call of the Dead was really interesting because that was the first one where they're like, hey, let's have celebrities guest star in a zombie map. So they had Sarah Michelle Gellar, the guy who plays Merle, Danny fucking Trejo. Damn it. I'm always going to remember 3, I guess. I'm always going to fucking remember 3 because I can't remember the last person. And anyways, and it actually starred George A. Romero. So that was really nice because Father of Zombies, you know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. That's like
and the story behind it which we'll get to the overall story and at least parts of it. There's so much of it that's so confusing, but the story of it basically was that George A. Romero heard what happened in this area and decided to make a movie. So they're making a movie, which it sort of gives an in-universe reason why there's these actors shooting zombies, which is kind of nice. Shangri-La was basically in a jungle at a temple. This one was dumb in my opinion because it had the frickin' monkeys, and I did not like those little fuckers. Then we had the moon. This one was interesting because, tell me if you remember this or not, but this one was interesting because after a certain amount of rounds, all of a sudden this moon guy would show up, and that moon guy would have a name of one of your friends.
I don't remember that.
You don't?
I do remember the moon, but I did not like it.
Yeah, so he would have a name of your friend. So, like, for instance, let's say, like, I would see that it's Levi or something. You know, it's like, oh, Levi, when did he join me? It didn't tell me, oh, why is he attacking me? It was so stupid. And that's also the one where we got all the maps of the zombies. So that was nice. So that was Black Ops. Black Ops 2, Transit, which I feel like, let me know what you think, but I feel like Transit is probably one of the most underrated zombie maps. There is a lot of it. I forgot
about Transit, where you get on the bus and it takes you around. That wasn't bad. I made it pretty far on that.
Yeah, I definitely see the complaints, like the fog and the denizens. They were like, if you go back to all the interviews and stuff, they literally made the fog and the denizens specifically to slow you down, because if you went too fast, it quite literally wouldn't load the map properly. So they purposely slowed you down so that you couldn't screw the visuals up, basically. So, but even still, like, that one was also one of the ones, other than like Buried, for instance, that was one of the ones that was just so addicting going back in, because just going to the different areas, I don't know, it was just fun. It was a nice little quirk, and we've never really had a quirk like that ever since, you know what I mean? Yeah. Other than maybe the train from Black Ops 3, but even still, that was way more of just go from point A to point B, whereas this one was literally a giant circle. So,
could you imagine if they did one where you were only on a train the whole time?
Right. Like a freaking Snowpiercer.
Yeah, oh my God, try to train a zombie on that.
Trying to train a train on a train. So then we got the Nuketown zombies. This was literally just the Nuketown map, but now you had zombies. That was it. Like, there was nothing special about it.
There was more rubble.
Well, yeah, I'm being, anyways. But, like, there was no Easter egg or whatever, other than, like, if you went to the vault, you could hear Carlton? I don't remember the names. Damn it. This one was cool just for, like, nostalgia reasons, kind of like what you were bringing up, just because, it was kind of fucking awesome to play zombies, but now, like, it was like when after the bomb had gone off, basically. That's how it looked or whatever, so it was really cool. Then we had Die Rise. Die Rise is another one. I feel like all the Black Ops 2 maps are probably really, like, undersold to a lot of people, because Die Rise, for a lot of fucking people, hated this map. Absolutely hated. They hated how you had to jump from one building to the next. They hated, like, the wonder weapon. They just hated everything. And me personally, it's like, I liked it. I definitely wouldn't rank it top for sure, but it was definitely one. Then here you go, my runner-up, Mob of the Dead. Once again, going through and like building that plane so that you could go over and get the Pack-a-Punch was really cool. And then the Easter egg itself was really cool too, because it was one of the very few Easter eggs that when you did it, you could actually end the game rather than going just infinity or whatever. Buried, my favorite one. Origins. Whew.
I don't remember Origins.
You don't remember Origins? Origins is the one that had the giant ass mechs that would just walk around the battlefield. So this is during World War One, and so you were fighting in all the trenches or whatever, and there was these giant robots just kind of stalking around or whatever. And of course they'd be like shooting at like airplanes in the air, they'd be shooting in something in the distance. Part of the Easter egg had to deal with they would lift up their foot and you had to be in the spot where their foot went down and shoot at a spot on their foot, and you would get teleported to their head, and then you could grab a craftable there or whatever. Oh my God. Then there's like these boxes that you get, you shoot zombies, and then the zombies go, or their souls go into the box, and then after you get all 3 boxes, you get something special from that, which I liked because Mob of the Dead had a similar thing with the dogs. You fed the dog heads, and then you got the tomahawk that would, it was a boomerang tomahawk.
Okay.
So that is Black Ops 2. Black Ops 3, definitely some more bangers in my opinion. Shadow of Evil is the one where it's basically like 1950s, 1960s, and you're playing as Heather Graham. I just lost his name. The guy from Jurassic Park. Oh.
Goldblum?
Yes, Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum. I don't know his name, but he's from a lot of stuff. I know that helps a lot. But and then once again, I can't remember the 4th person. Like, for the life of me, I always remember 3 people. But anyways, that one was really cool because it had a similar mechanic to the like, you could turn yourself into Ghost in Mob of the Dead, and there were certain things that you could only do in, like, the Ghost realm or whatever. So this kind of had a similar thing, but instead of turning into a ghost, you turn into this giant tentacle monster, which is really cool because basically it had to do with, like, Cthulhu and shit like that or whatever. So that's really cool. I like that. Then there was the Giant, which was basically just a remake of... not Die Rise. What's it called? Dare Rise. Yeah. So it was basically just a remake. So Der Isendrach was really cool. That one was a giant ass castle. And like the entering scene basically had you riding in on one of the freaking robots from Origins. So I love the storytelling there. But it was a giant ass castle. I really like this one. You could activate certain jump pads and basically jump from one side of the map to the other. Ron Perlman, thank you. Okay, yep.
Neil McDonough, Ron Perlman, Heather Graham, and Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, okay. There you go, Ron motherfucking Perlman.
There you go.
Then we had Zetsubu no Shima. Sure. I do not remember that one. I want to say that's the jungle one, and it was very, very forgettable.
Yep.
I might have to see a picture of these ones because, like, these ones, like, I'm not as familiar with Black Ops 3 Zombies maps. Okay. Okay, Shinonwa Ascension. Where is it? Yeah, I was right. This is the one that was in the jungle. Very forgettable, in my opinion. I didn't really like it. Then we have Garrod Crovey. Garrod Covey. Which one's Garrod Covey? Okay, Garrod Crovey is the one I thought it was. This is the one where there was a giant ass dragon and a mech suit having a battle throughout the map. So this one was actually really cool, like visually, and I did kind of like the aesthetic of it. You were in this like bombed out city or whatever, so I kind of like that one for sure. And I think for a lot of people, that was one of the best maps that they've made. Revelations, I want to say Revelations is the one where is basically they had like a bunch of like I think Nocturne Toten makes a cameo in there. And it's basically like this is like the realm with between realms or something, if I'm remembering correctly. Then we got Black Ops 4, Voyage of Despair takes place on the Titanic as it's sinking. That one is really cool because I don't know, I just like the aesthetic of it, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Easy Pack-a-Punch. It sucked that it moved, but it's easy to get started. So then 9 or IX. That one was the one that was in the big arena or whatever. You remember that one, right?
I do remember the arena. Yep.
Yeah. That one I liked because the better you did, the crowd would like you and randomly throw you
shit.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I like that one. So
I forgot about that one.
Yeah. Then there was Blood of the Dead, which was essentially the remake of Mob of the Dead. Classified, which was the remake of 5. Both of those really well done, I think. Dead of the Night, this is the one that had all the actors in it. So you had the guy that was the bad guy from the last action hero. You had some British dude. You had Kiefer Sutherland, and then you had Helen Benham Carter. You know who I'm talking about, right?
No, I have no idea.
I don't know. It's the chick from all the Tim Burton movies.
Jonathan Warwick, Madame Muriel, Godfrey, and Gideon Jones. So you had Kiefer Sutherland, Charles Dance, Helena Bonham Carter, and Brian Blessed.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, the chick from all the Burton movies.
Kiefer Sutherland, huh? I didn't know that.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Sorry, guys, I had to adjust there.
Ancient Evil. This one was kind of cool because it was like buried in the sense of it was this giant ass city that was underground, but instead of being cowboys, it was ancient Greece, basically. So that was really cool. The Pack-a-Punch had to deal with the Pegasus, that you could ride the Pegasus to the Pack-a-Punch area. So that one was pretty cool, too. Alpha Omega, I think, would have to be my number 3, maybe, because Alpha Omega was basically Nuketown Zombies, but expanded. So now you have Nuketown Zombies, but it goes 2 blocks down. So you have 2 extra blocks on the surface, and then you could go down into the bunkers, and there was it was just as big down there as it was above or whatever.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah, I really like that. Tag Der Toten. Now, funnily enough, if you care about the story, Tag Der Toten is actually the story that George A. Romero hears to make his movie, because it takes place in the same area. So he hears the story of what happens in Tag Der Toten, and he decides to make a movie. Tag Der Toten actually is Call of the Dead. So
gotcha.
It's a nice little Easter egg there, I guess. You know, and then obviously Cold War is Die Machine. Die Machine. Then there are a bunch of non-Treyarch games. I don't like to call these out, but since they do involve zombies, I guess I'll bring them up. So Advanced Warfare Outbreak was the most basic-ass one. Infection, Carrier, and Descent. I think the only one worth mentioning, in my opinion, I'm going to be super, super elitist in the Treyarch zombies, but I think the only one that I really liked was actually Infection, because it took place, or part of it took place at like a burger town or whatever, so I just like the aesthetic of it. But it was basically just like, hey, what if zombies had freaking jetpacks? It's like, no. Fuck off and die. That's what. Okay. Then you have Infinite Warfare. They also had zombies. I told you this before, so now you as an audience get to hear this. I legitimately had absolutely, positively no desire to play this, and I still don't, honestly. You know, maybe sometime in the future, if I can get it for like free, somebody gives it to me and all the DLC, maybe I'll play it. But I had no, because here's the thing: Infinity Ward, whatever the fuck they're called, they made Ghost, and in Ghost they made a mode called Extinction. Extinction was aliens instead of zombies, and for me, I really liked it. For one, it was something other than zombies. So they were, charting their own path, basically. And I really like that about it. And then their next follow-up to Ghost was Infinite Warfare. Where does it take place? In space. So what has to do with space? Aliens? No, apparently fucking zombies. Like, fuck.
Didn't make any sense.
It didn't make... And the fact that Advanced Warfare also did zombies was basically like, okay, so now everyone's doing zombies? But here's the thing, people. Here's the thing. I said it already, okay? But here's the thing. Treyarch makes zombies. Period. Yeah. Treyarch makes zombies. So all these other zombie modes, while might be good in their own, for their own reasons, they just don't feel
They don't pack
right.
the punch that Treyarch.
Yeah,
I can do it too.
They just don't feel the same. They feel good. I think the closest it's ever felt was actually World War II zombies, which we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, for me, I had absolutely... So zombies in Spaceland, I know what it looked like. Rave in the Redwoods, I think I saw a trailer about it. Shaolin Shuffle.
I did play the Redwoods. I played that one. Oh,
you did? Really?
It was not good.
Yeah? Okay. Shaolin Shuffle, once again, I don't even think I saw the trailer for that one, because at that point I was just like, no, they suck. Attack at the Radioactive Thing, never even saw a trailer for it. The Beast from Beyond, never even saw a trailer for it. That's how little I gave a rat's motherfucking ass. So then we have World War II. Now, we were able to... We played the free version, so we didn't get all the DLCs or whatever, but we did get to play Gutenhaus, which was basically the prologue, and the Final Reich. The Final Reich, I really like the way they had it set up. Once again, it was kind of like a bombed-out city, but now Nazi zombies or whatever.
And you could fall through the center well and end up down at the bottom.
Down below.
And see, the part that I liked about that whole map was... basically, by following the Final Reich's like clues and everything, you could activate the artifact and open up like a summoning chamber.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was one of the little things that you could do, and it I played with a bunch of people, and that was always everybody's drive, was to get down there and open up the summoning chamber or the sacrifice chamber. I'm not really sure what it was called, but it was weird and difficult. But that's how my friend Chloe and I made it so far in that.
Okay.
I think what we might have to do is re-download it and do a little zombie-in on there.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe I'll die first. Who knows? Honestly, who can say? So let's talk a little bit about the story. I say a little bit for two reasons. One, we're almost at an hour. And two, it's batshit crazy. So
I don't even know the story.
This is the type of story that, like Kingdom Hearts, how they have to have like an hour-long thing just to...
fucking 3 bridges.
Yeah, like it's so confusing in so many ways. So I'm going to try to give it to you guys as basic-ass bitch as I can or whatever.
Getting them made zombies are bad. The end.
Yeah. So, actually, let me get a little bit of sources here. So, because there's a lot of numbers. There's a lot that has to deal with like numbers, so I want to get the numbers at least partially right. So,
how many numbers? Too many numbers.
Okay. So there are 3 stories in Treyarch Zombies mode. Okay, I didn't even know that, honestly. The Ether story introduced and featured in Call of Duty World at War, Call of Duty Black Ops, Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3, and Black Ops 4. The Chaos story introduced in Black Ops 4, and the Dark Ether story in Black Ops Cold War.
Ah.
So basically, let's see, it's 115. Yeah, so there is an element 115. Something to do with a meteorite hitting the moon, and then that element, they could turn people into zombies. So one person, Richtofen, wanted to use it for one reason. Maxis wanted to use it for a whole nother reason. Then there's the multiverse, because there's not just one universe, there's several universes. At one point, there's Richtofen talking to another version of Richtofen, which totally wasn't confusing at all, especially if you're one of the people like me who didn't understand what was going on. So, yeah, there's multiverses. So, like, for instance, Black Ops 2 had 3 maps where you had, like, Merleton or Carlton and, like, Rusty and Zoe or whatever. 3 maps with them, and then never hear from them again. But then in, like, Blood of the Dead, all of a sudden you had them and they were inside these freezers or whatever. So it turns out that whole Black Ops 2 storyline happened in a alternate universe.
Oh.
And so then the universes are colliding, and, you know, Samantha, and then there's the shadow of the something, I don't know, the one that takes place with Heather Graham and Jeff Goldblum or whatever. That one is by a completely different person who's trying to get the, you know, squid god to, like, come down to Earth, but Samantha shoots a giant beam towards him, and then yeah. So, I mean, you have, like, the 115 is the main component, and that's by the Germans. Then you have, like, the 195, which is by the Americans, and then you have a completely separate group of people working on it. I can't remember who that's by, though.
Is it the Russians?
No, it's the Asians. It's the Asians. So you had because there was a couple of maps that happened down in, like, Asia or something like that.
Right.
So... But yeah, for the most part, you have all these people trying to work on the same thing so that they can take over the world. Or at least, you know, the Americans are obviously totally good in this predicament, and they were just trying to research so that they could fight it. You know, they had no ill will.
Yeah, we only wanted to defend ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, we just wanted zombies to see if they could fight the other zombies. We were totally right in this sense, okay?
Okay.
America. Anyways. So, yeah. If that's confusing, like, literally listen, like, go on YouTube and listen to the entire thing. The entire story is just... Not only that, but here's what's confusing. For instance, I talked about how there was Call of the Dead, which was George A. Romero trying to make a movie. Well, then there was Tagner and Toten. But Tagner and Toten happens entire 2 games after Call of the Dead. So everything's out of order. Another good example is Black Ops 2. One of their DLCs was Origins. This happens back in World War I. So that one's also back in... Like, their timeline is just so messed up. Now, in their defense, I don't know if they really had, like, a plan. Because, once again, this was kind of a mode that got so popular. They didn't know it was going to be so popular, right? So I think that was part of it. But even still, it's like, yeah, let's go do this storyline. That storyline, I'm not really liking where it's going. Let's go back to the other, you know, the Russian, the American, the Asian, and the German. Like, let's go back to that storyline. That one's getting bored. Let's go over here into a different dimension. Wait, what? like, why? What's going on? Like...
Where are we going?
The thing is that obviously none of this was really obvious, because a lot of this you had to get from, like, radios or from the Easter eggs themselves or whatever. That's another reason that I think we both can agree on. I think that's another reason why Cold War is doing it a lot better, because we're getting a lot of story even just by like people trying to radio us, which granted, yes, you got the same thing from like the characters themselves would always say something funny or something, and you always got that, but you're getting that from like an outside source, plus your characters will say certain things or whatever. But I feel like we're getting much more of the story so far. I mean, obviously the story could just nosedive for all we know or whatever when we get the DLCs, but so far it's like I just feel like, you know, for one, I feel like we're definitely taking place in a new dimension, because now on top of where the mystery boxes are is a bunny instead of a teddy bear. It's a subtle thing, but it's like, okay, this clearly is a different dimension, because you know, we have completely different. And then even when it changes directions or changes spots or whatever, a bunny shows up, not a teddy bear. So it's like, okay, we're in a different dimension. And so I know enough where it's like I can sort of follow that. Okay, we're somewhere else. Not only there, but we're in the 80s. We're at a Russian site, or we're at a German site, but it got taken over by Russians, and you know, so there's a lot going on there, and I like what they're doing with it, you know.
See, and that's what's making me curious to see, because like you said, they have the Asians, they have Americans, and they have the Germans. Mm-hmm. My question is are we finally going to get a Russian storyline of the Russians making their own chemical compound to make zombies? Because if that is the case, then we have basically nuclear war, but with zombies going worldwide. So I think that's something that I've been enjoying a lot.
Yeah. Actually, now that I think of it, what color are their eyes? Call of Duty Zombies. Because I guess I never really thought of that. Because the original zombies are... Oh, yeah, they're yellow eyes. So original zombies is blue eyes. The one from, like... The one from the...
Asians?
Let me see here. Let me see if I can just go Call of Duty Zombies Eye. There we go. So zombie eye color. So yeah, the ones in Transit, for instance, those were blue eyes. Then the ones from like Call of the Dead, for instance, are red eyes. So what color their eyes, I think, has to do with either the compound they're using or what dimension we're in. So them having... Here we go. Here's a picture. It shows kind of all of them side by side. So we have like white eyes, we have blue eyes, red eyes, and yellow eyes. So yellow eyes alone tells us like this could be happening in X universe, basically, or whatever. Yeah. So interesting. Very interesting. All right. So I think that's it. We've gone through it. We've gone in excruciating detail. So now, real quick, let's rank the zombies. But instead of ranking every single map, let's just rank the Treyarch games. Because once again, if it's not Treyarch, it's not zombies. So all the non-Treyarch stuff, we're just going to literally get rid of. And let's rank by game the best zombies experience.
So for me, Cold War.
Okay, number 1.
Cold War. And then number 2 would be... Buried was the Western town, right?
Yeah, that was 2.
2. So yeah, actually, perfect. It would be Cold War 2, 4-3-1.
4-3-1, and then World at War at the very bottom.
Yeah.
Trash tier. I think mine's going to be somewhat similar. Trash tier. I would still put 4 at the top. I would put Cold War right below it, then 2, then 3, then I'd actually do World at War, then Black Ops. Because World at War, those are classic. And I like Black Ops, but I also just feel like, you know, I feel like the classic ones are classic for a reason. Whereas Black Ops, not really. They're also the most basic, so that might be a plus or a negative. But personally, I think that's what it is for me. So 4 Cold War, 2, 3, 1, or no, World at War, then 1. So that's my ranking.
Okay.
So we want to hear from you guys. What's your ranking? What's your favorite map of all time? What's your ranking from there? How are you liking the new one? Let us know. Next up, all right, so next time on ZOMBcast, we're actually going to be comparing 2 movies, and that is Dawn of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead, the 84 version versus the 14 version. It's 84, right? Let's see. I'm going to go Dawn. Oh, it's not 2014. It's 2004, you idiot. 78. I was way the fuck off. Okay, so the 78 version versus the 04 version. So we're actually going to be comparing them, what we liked about one version versus the other version, and ultimately who we thought did a better job of it, one way or the other. So that'll be next episode if you guys want to check that out. So let's see, that will be coming out. So this comes out here, so it's going to come out on the 6th.
Yeah.
So if you want to watch it live, you can watch it on the 6th. Otherwise, it'll be out on YouTube and podcast services on the 9th of December. So December 6th, watch it live. December 9, if you want to catch it on YouTube or podcast services. All right. Thank you guys so much. Make sure go down below. You got at TX3 Productions, ThreadX3 Productions on YouTube, ThreadX3 Productions at gmail.com if you want to drop us an email. Let us know, what do you think we should do next? What do you think is there any suggestions you have? Anything like that, let us know. I was one of your hosts, Nick.
I'm that boy, Kevin.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for ZOMBcast. Make sure to always check your corners.
Give them the good old double tap.
Bye-bye. Oh, yeah, and don't get bit.